Um, all three of you parents have faced divorce. And my question is with the focus on parenting, starting with, we're going to go to Pastor McDonald, then to Gerald, and then Coach Chi will come in with her coaching experience as well and personal experience. How do you feel um, going through a divorce has affected your children? And how can that be avoided? Because people watching may have gone through a divorce or may be going through a divorce, or one day when they watch this years later have gone through a divorce. How does it affect the children, what you've seen? And Pastor McDonald, not only in your own personal life, but as a pastor, how have you seen it affecting children, and how can this be avoided? How can we have healthy children post divorce? Over
Thank
to
you for that question, Mike. The Unfortunately, uh, children that are born in an environment where there has been a divorce or there's a divorce occurring, they they kind of take it negatively, and also it becomes very personal to them. Most times, studies have shown that they think it's their fault that mommy left or that daddy left, and they would try to, in a way, I think, navigate that on their own sometimes. And the difficulty with being a parent and trying to speak to your children about divorce is that you are trying to bring the subject in a way that is going to be balanced. And most part, sometimes people, when they're talking about divorce, they try to take sides. Let me put it like that. When I'm the dad talking about why I'm having to separate or go through this with my uh, with my wife stroke husband, there's a tendency to be able to say, well, it was their fault that this is what's happening. Now, when you're addressing kids, what I've discovered is that it becomes a dangerous precedence in the sense that it creates a saint versus villain kind of atmosphere. And when you create that kind of mindset in their mind, in their heads, then they are now, even as they grow, torn in between the who was right and who was wrong. Now, some cases there's obvious things that happen that begin to, show that this person was right or they are wrong. Kids are smart. Eventually, they figure out for themselves that okay, the bad part here was this one or this one. But my take on that question, Max, is that firstly, when you're going to whatever you do, don't let your children be the casualties of your relationship not working out. You have to be adults about it and maturely address the issues without having to entangle the children so that because divorce on its own is traumatic for both parties, whether you are male or female, it becomes traumatic. And when you add the trauma to the kids as well, then it begins to give them this belt that they carry throughout their lives, that they're going to be dysfunctional because they come from divorced parents. Like I said, my
you.
parents have been together for 56 years. And I mean, I've seen so many times when my mom, could have walked out, but she said, no, I'm going to make this work. And my dad, same thing as well. And now, coming in the picture, or when I was getting married to whoever I was getting married to, I have that picture in my head of whenever there is a crisis, whenever there is a situation, you fight it through, you communicate, you talk, you navigate, and all those things. And then I find my partner or partners in that case were not willing participants because they came from backgrounds where if it's tough, get out and don't even look back. And so the way we then begin to navigate it becomes different, in the sense that I come from a holistic picture viewpoint where let's make this healthy for everybody, but they are like, let's destroy the whole ship, the whole house, boom, and so I would say for anybody that is going through this, or anybody that has gone through this, as much as you can separate yourself from the person and
Right.
tackle the issues
That's good.
so that it doesn't spill over to the kids.
That is really, really good. Thank you so much. However, what if I want my child to know that I wasn't the problem? It was your dad.
Right. And there's always that temptation, Max, to say that. And I say this in a very restrained way because I went through the same thing. Um, my personal story was very tragic, really, because it involved a lot of other things that ended up being public. And now I had to address being a public person myself in Botswana, where I was pastoring. The potential was that this issue was going to be known, and you know how journalists are. They can be very, they can take it whichever way. This here is this high profile pastor going through a divorce, and the wife is leaving him, and she's leaving him because she has done ABC. And now I had to sit down with my son and say to him, whatever you read in the newspapers, whatever you hear on television, whatever people say, do not interpret it or make that change how you look at your mother. She's still your mother.
That's good.
And so I'd have to help him navigate. Although I would tell you what, I had every inch of my body simply saying, everybody advertise it as much as you can, tell them what she has done. Let's kill and let's destroy her. But I had to be Christ-like.
That's good.
And I had to remember again that not only am I a Christian, I'm a believer, but at the same time, I'm not called into the ministry of slandering anybody.